offered on a stage when theatre first hit the world.
Magic tricks.
Well, it's not magic tricks.
Well,
it's
like
it's
you
an
mentioned
illusion.
when we spoke on the phone. You mentioned the Prestige, didn't you? Which
yeah, but
is
you've got the Pledge of the Turn and the Prestige. So the pledges, they pledge you something. This tower exploded and terrorists did it. Yeah, OK, I'm buying that. Right. The turn is we need this new law because it's going to protect us from them ever doing it again. OK, that's absolutely fine. I accept that as well. But the Prestige is when you look at the law, it's a complete and utter draconian lockdown on every freedom you were given when you were born. That's why, when you talked about the Charter of Liberties, you talk about a document, a Charter of Liberties. It's a grant. They're granting you something. They're giving you something. It's giving you something you already possess, that no man on this earth has a right to take away. Freedom's not about liberties. Liberties is a grant. Rights are a grant. That's why people get so confused, because the Charter of Liberties, the most famous document in the world, Magna Carta 1215, set up the world we live in now. They set it up. But people can't see it because they're locked into lies and the way... You say about the truth resonates because it will resonate in different sections when you land on the truth. So when you... It's like you land... Imagine a game of Monopoly, because that's basically what we live in, a game of Monopoly.
OK.
Monopolisation. That's all it's about. It's monopolisation, greed, materialism, egotism, the new churches, shopping centres, the new religion, money.
OK, so just to get back then to your journey, if we may, because I think that's a nice way of describing where we are now when we finally get to that point. So you saw Loose Change 2.
Yeah.
And you watched it twice, and something dawned on you that it wasn't what you thought it was, and then you felt that you were being held by some gatekeeper from learning more.
Didn't at the time. Didn't even know what a gatekeeper was. Didn't understand anything. I was still completely oblivious to everything.
So what was your next stage then?
I wanted to find out, and I didn't want to use the lies and knowledge of the internet. There's a lot of lies and knowledge, there's a lot of truth out there, but you've got to wade through so much rubbish to get to it. So I wanted to design something, in a way, I suppose. I wanted to build something that would allow people to come to me and give me information. Because I don't like reading things. I read law, that's about all I read. I read law because I find it funny.
You find it funny?
It's very funny. Yeah, when you read it the way I read it, it's hilarious. You just got to read it right. But I read law, and I've read law books as well. I read their law books, because their law books are even funnier.
Who's they? You mean the States?
The Law Society. The Law Society's law books.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you read their books, I mean, okay, there's a classic example in the latest Black's Law Dictionary 8, and they define a person, and they say a natural person. How can you define a word with a word? How can you define that word with the same word? You can't. It's a mockery. If you go in Black's Law Dictionary 3, you'll see that person is a fiction.
Let's talk about that then. Let's talk about the person.
Yeah.
And how we understand the person in society.
Well, what do you think a person is?
Well, it doesn't matter what I think.
No, what do you think a person is? I'm asking
you a question. Well, I'm a person. You're a person.
Are you?
Well, I believe I am.
You're not a human being, you're a person.
Well...
Or does it mean the same thing?
Well, my understanding from when I was a child is that a person and a human being are the same thing.
Same thing, OK, right. So, in law, you're a human being, but in the legal world, commerce, you're a person. That's the difference.
OK.
What
is the difference, then? Just calling me a different name?
It's the way you're treated, massively. It's about jurisdiction. Solely about jurisdiction. In common law is upon the human being. In fleet, commerce, admiralty, whatever you want to call it, UCC code, whatever, then your person is a fiction. But the jurisdiction, what they need to do is to get you to act, for you to represent that fiction. You've got a limited company, but it doesn't exist in the real world. It's not real.
Well, let's talk about the distinction then. If there is a distinction between human being and person, what does this actually mean?
A lot.
Okay,
Basically,
good.
you get locked into slavery.
So you're saying that because laws are made for persons,
Statutes, yeah.
statutes, not laws, statutes.
Yeah, but what's a statute?
Well, okay, you tell me.
Well, take a statute. A statute is an act of Parliament, yeah? So they put an act of Parliament, becomes statute, gets registered on the statute roll,
Yes.
okay? And
It's what most people would describe as a law, isn't it?
they would, but they don't know what law is. That's the point.
And you do.
No, I just see it from a different angle.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you the angle I see it from.
Okay.
Okay? That's...
Please do. That's right, we're here.
Right? But it starts as a bill. Well, a bill is a money-making order. It's a negotiable instrument. When you look at any statute law that's on the statute books, it's enacted by statutory instruments, another negotiable instrument. A statutory instrument defined is a created, written, legal contract. So it's not law, it's a contract. It's something they can apply as fictitious upon fictitious persons.
So they make us into
Fictitious persons. And then they can apply these statutes on it, because the statutory law does not apply to human beings, because it's not law until it's consented to by the governed. Statute is law that only becomes the force of law if it's consented to by the governed. So with 3,000...
By the governed?
By the governed, you. Yeah, you're the governed.
So I can say that to anyone who wants to enforce a statute upon me,
Yeah.
if I choose, I can say, I don't consent.
You can say that, but you're being made an offer. So it has to come in contract form. So you're being made an offer. So what they'll do is they'll offer you something, and in a contract there has to be offer, consideration and acceptance. So you have to be made the offer, you have to consider the offer, and you have to accept the offer.
I'm not aware of having been made any offers about any statutes.
No, but you are being made an offer,
Okay,
because
well,
commercial law works that way.
And you're saying it's all commercial law, that every statute is subject
Statute
to
law
commercial
was
law.
wrote specifically for the powers that be to manipulate, to protect themselves, to do exactly what they wanted to create, and to control us as if we were in slavery. It's the evolution of slavery, that's all it is. It's very, very simply done as well. But you have to look at the law, and you look at the great laws that have gone through in this country, the Declaration of Rights, 1688-89, Bill of Rights, Act of Settlement, the Act of Union, all these documents that are these very, very powerful, famous statutes that are still, one of them is still in the law books. Oxford's law book just recently, they brought one out, and it's still in there, and it's still named as the Act of 1701, the Act of Settlement, because it is so important to what they do and what they've actually achieved with that. And they needed these statutes in place. The statute law is very, very... It's right in the form of a constitution. And if you look at what constitutions are, they're the fundamental principles a government adopts to make for society to conform to. Society being the biggest word there, being the socially dominant members of any community. Also translated as a partnership, where all parties have to consent.
So if I get this right then, what you're saying is that apart from laws, which are different, statutes are all passed with some sort of presumed consent from us.
No, absolutely not. No.
OK, excuse me.
A statute law is a negotiable instrument. It's a bill. It's a money-making order. Right? The government, as being the Cabinet, the Privy Council, will take the statute and they'll meet at number 10 with the bankers and they'll sell it to them.
So they pass a law,
yeah.
statute?
No, they make a contract. It's not law. It's a contract.
Okay.
They get this contract and they'll go to the bankers and they'll say to the bankers, the private sector, they'll say, we've got this statute and we reckon it's worth $6 billion.
Well, for instance, it might be something like we're going to put up speed cameras everywhere.
Ideal example, OK? We've got this statute, we reckon it could generate a revenue of about $6 billion. That's fine. Okay.
Per annum.
Per annum. Will you lend us that on the strength of that, but we'll give you everything in excess to cover the principal sum plus the interest. So what they do is they sell it. They sell it to the bankers for the money.
In advance of passing the law?
Not passing the law.
Statute.
It's not a law, it's a statute. So what?